Well, hello and welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go. And once again, like so many of us have done, we're taking a look at the election interference. And this came up, I was watching the weekly show that Hogarth does with Lena Rodriguez, Lady G, and Sheila. Uh, and they answer questions. And one of the interesting questions that came up was if Merrick Garland knew that the election had been tampered with and told Kamala Harris and told her to stand down. And it was very interesting the different conclusions that they reached about that. And so, of course, I had to comment. And as I was commenting, I kind of went off on a tangent saying maybe we should look at foreign interference and see if that played a part because, of course, Elon Musk is South African and Trump at all, but well, he pretty much confessed, yeah, that the election was fooled around with kind of like couldn't have done it without you, Elon, wink, wink, nod, nod, that kind of a thing. Now, I usually don't like to, either challenge another readers or compare or, or find points of agreement, but it did take me to another place. So, at any rate, and Hogarth really brought up something that I agreed with. He was the last one to read on this, and he said it wasn't like all the machines were flipped. It was done in a way with some voter suppression, and there was some mischief at the polls. Like I'm from Pennsylvania, and we had a couple of bomb scares, and I think he was clever enough to make sure it was close enough. So that would make it very, very hard to prove. And I always thought that there was something funny, fishy about it, but then proving that's a whole different story altogether. So make sure I want to make sure that yep. So it got me to thinking about if there's some a foreign angle to this because I'm pretty sure we had Russian, Chinese interference, whatever, and I've been having a feeling for a while that their people overseas have been looking into this because money laundering would need to be involved, and I always got a feeling that maybe they're investigating something else that has to do with money laundering, that it kind of goes off on a tangent. It winds up back in the election. So that's what I want to look at. And I always thought that someone like Jack Smith, and we don't know where he is. After he resigned, I think he made a family visit to the Syracuse area where he's from. And then he just a lot of us, I've thought that his heart was at The Hague or doing the foreign international work. And money laundering was one of his specialties. That's why he was chosen in the first place. So I've kind of wondered if either he or someone a lot like him with a similar experience was doing a little bit of international investigating on this. So I want to do a reading on that, and I think that this is involved enough that right now I think I'm just going to read on the, with the possibility of the foreign involvement, and if there's another question that arises, I'll do another reading, a couple like 4-card reading on this. But I figured this is probably going to take up pretty much of the time. So yes, so I'm making sure I've covered all my points here. Okay, so it's not going to be exactly what they read on, But that did lead me, as I wrote a fairly lengthy comment, it did lead me down this road from what they were saying. So it's just taking it to another level. So we will begin. I've been shuffling right along here, so we're going to begin. And I'm going to use mostly smaller decks because I think this is going to be quite spread out. Okay. So where we are with this right now. Okay. So we have, lots of things going on. There's a lot of, that's what it kind of goes with what I was saying, that there's other international crimes that are being investigated and somehow could be leading to some interference in the election and interference on an international level. So, do a little bit of a before tarot. Oh, okay. We have justice in reverse. This really goes to the point, leading up to all of this, this really goes to the point that just like with a lot of his cases, except for some of the civil and the New York cases, that justice has been stalled. Justice is in reverse. For some reason, whatever they knew, they pretty much, we never heard about it in the news except theories and some of the YouTube people, but and it may be that the justice delayed thing is due to lack of evidence, or evidence like this is all kind of scattered out and trying, because they're all these rods are parallel and they don't meet together. So it could have been a lack of evidence or making it difficult. And if he did it the way it looks like, that makes it really hard to prove. So in the after tarot, we have the Three of Pentacles. And this is the artist. This is the artist who has stepped down from his bench, and it looks like the clients have left. Or they will, yeah. He's working on his piece of art. It looks like the clients have left, and he's been working on his piece. So this is pretty much about negotiating, making deals, and it looks as though maybe whatever was being done here was inconclusive, but that a lot of the action may have originated in other countries, could very much be it. So it seems like it's kind of scattered. And so the energy we have with this is the Queen of Swords. And in this instance, we have Kamala Harris coming back in, and the energy is that if she holds the sword, she knows the truth. But I think, and I do agree with them, that she really was put in a position where, for the greater good, cause there's a lot going on with this, that she kind of had to hold back on this, that she holds the sword. So this is what this is all about, but that doesn't mean that other investigations in other countries couldn't happen. So looking at what's underneath all of this in the, let's see, okay. In the past, there's the Page of Wands, which means that there could be some communication or something known about this, which he's ready to go, but he's holding on to that for now. So I think what this is telling me, there's a lot more to this than is meeting the eye. Now, of course, the Legacy News has been told to put a sock in it, and they're not really investigating anything. So then we have here, we have the Eight of Wands. I'm using a couple of slightly different rider decks with this. So we have the Eight of Wands. There's a lot going on, but it's being kept from us. There is not much action being taken right now. I feel as though it's kind of like a dam that's ready to burst, or that things are coming together. And then we have coming up that there may have been a pause in this, but that it isn't going to last much longer. It's sort of like they're putting a lot of these things to rest. I think there may be some information, but they don't know what to do with it here. But I am getting a feeling that once we get involved, if Interpol is looking into some things, and maybe some Russian mobsters. I feel as though it could be some Russian mobsters that have been laundering money that they might think it's for drugs or whatever, but that could lead back to this. This is what I'm really feeling. So in opposition of this, we have, in opposition of this, we have, this is interesting. I forgot something very important, because the card for tonight, the cover card for tonight, is the Seven of Swords. I have to backtrack. I think it was Hogarth, when he was laying out his cards, he came across the Five of Swords, which is similar to this. I always think of them like the brother or cousin cards. So this is about stealing, and this and it pretty much follows the same principle that he said. There is a theft of this, but there are a couple of swords left. So this is how, that kind of sneaky way that they did this, in not flipping all of the votes. It would also be as an explanation as to why local elections and even picking a pope has not gone to how they wish, because what was happened was easier to do on the bigger scale than in these more concentrated elections. And on the thumbnail, I have the character of Elon Musk, who is with the swords, and then I kind of put sleepy Trump in the foreground, because he never does, he always gets other people to do his dirty work. So I just had to add that. So it's very interesting, because this is what I just picked this up, and I can't believe it. Sorry, I almost forgot to. Okay, so in opposition is the theft. It is the stealing of the votes. But I understand from what I've heard about Trump is that he's never written an email in his life. He's been very cagey about communication not going back to him. So this is in the opposition of this is the actual shenanigans from the election. And of course, this is psychic speculation for entertainment purposes only. So on the foreign thing, I'm going to say, let's see, who should we do for the conscious thoughts? I would say, okay, we'll bring it back to the top guy here. Okay, to Fotis. Okay, so the conscious thoughts of having a lot of this happening overseas, putting this into motion overseas. The conscious thought we have the King of Cups. Oh, this is kind of interesting, because I'm thinking consciously that, he wasn't entirely wrong, that maybe by getting Biden out of the way, because this is my Biden card, that by getting Biden out of the card and making him look bad and then that bad in the debate, that he would have an easier path, and maybe he did. So that was probably the early front of the interference. And then on the subconscious, we have this. It's the money. Everything in the subconscious, every move he makes, it's about the money. But it's the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So it's the influx of ill-gotten gains. That is what this is all about, the ill-gotten gains. And that is the underlying thing that keeps this machine going. So, in the past, we have the Ace of Cups. Kind of a very emotional thing. This is really whipping up the emotions, not only of his base, but I would also say that overseas too. There were, this trip to the Middle East was all about these potentates and princes and whatever, feel that they could appeal to his emotions and give him this, like, feel the love. This is all about flattery and the love. So this is quite a driven, this is pretty much what was driving it in the past, and as I feel like using, so in the present, we have the throwing up of the smoke screens, the illusions and the delusions, which pretty much keeps his dwindling cult-like base. This is sort of like the homophobia, the trans athletes, the this and the that, all these boogeymen that keeps whatever base he's got left in line. And to draw attention from this very, very involved, this would be a very involved kind of thing. So this is in the present. And in the immediate future, here we have the offshoot of the Three of Pentacles, but we have the regular Three of Pentacles, which is, you know what this card makes me kind of gives me a little bit of a hit that I hadn't thought of before, that all of this stuff that's been going on in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and God only knows what other despots and terrorist Middle Eastern states he's visited, it is the bargaining. This is the guy here selling the patrons a bill of goods, and why it's kind of like the quid pro quo. And while he may seem to have the upper hand, it looks as though these people are in deep thought saying, well, let him think he has the upper hand. All we have to do is con and flatter him. But in the much bigger picture, this is probably going on for all three elections. I believe that if this is true, that Elon Musk played a bigger part in it because of, I don't know, whatever. So in the longer run, we have here the Queen of Wands in reverse. Very negative female energy here. Which goes to the fact is, like, a lot of these players better be careful, because he has a real habit of spilling the beans. And this is a lot of these people have been, like him and Vance and, the Muskrat, they've been kind of acting on the, unflattering female roles of this, of being very nasty and ill-tempered, unfaithful, um, abuse of power, all that sort of thing, but in that kind of an very unflattering, nasty female kind of way. So I would say that as more of this comes to light, and I may just do a quickie on that, more of this comes to light, they will get nastier, and they will show their hand. I mean, he can't help himself with that. So going down the road here, a Hierophant in reverse, which means fighting against the government institutions. It doesn't look too good with, right now, it doesn't look too good with the judicial department, because now they're really stopping him at every turn. And in instances where he has no control, like he's not going to bring Garcia back, but there are other matters that if somebody's locked up in a jail and the courts tell them that release him, then the prison guards open up the gates, pretty much. So wherever he does not have direct control, he's fighting against them. So the question is trying to turn our institutions upside down. So I want to get another card here and saying, will he succeed? Will he succeed? What this is telling me is that the greed is getting so out of hand, and the money's coming in, that they don't quite. I think the thing is that they don't quite know what to do with it, so they're going to get careless and stupid. So this is telling me, no. Once this is all about the money, once that flow of money gets discovered, it's just not going to go really, really well. So I want to see what the hopes and the fears are. So we have very interesting, the Five of Cups. I would say that this is really going in the future. As more is revealed, they're going to be losing hope, and this figure is ignoring the two cups standing, which would stand for some hope and emotional support. They're not going to be seeing that, and in a way, this is being one's worst enemy kind of a card. It's like there are some options left, but they're so focused on the negative, they don't see them, and they'll be stuck. So this is basically fear. I don't see a lot of hope here. So maybe I need to pull another one to see. Or maybe I want to see what happens in the after tarot. Hope and the fear. Okay. Okay, as much as they try to cover up the truth with the sun, they won't be able to. Also, the whole thing is that the more they get, the less they're going to enjoy it. And this indicates, these two, looks like these two cherubs, which are like babies, are fighting. They're fighting over the flag. And what I've always said is that as the fear comes out, they're going to start infighting, and it's already begun. So things are not looking very, very good for them. So let's see, an outcome card for this would be the Nine of Pentacles. This is, and now the interesting thing about this is I'm seeing them accumulating a lot of riches, but with the wall, see, she's kind of trapped in the garden. Look how high that wall is. She can't really get out. She's got all the luxuries. It kind of reminds me of the that I had heard that some of the really wealthy wives, and these guys, Arab dudes, rich ones, have a lot of wives. That the wives in, say, like, so that the oil rich people, is that they get all of these fashions from Paris and Milan, and they just try them on and give them, they give themselves fashion shows, but they never go out to the cafes or the restaurants like Western women do and show off their finery. All they have to do is amongst themselves, and to me that sounds like the most frustrating, the biggest bore you could ever imagine. So I kind of relate this to the oligarchs, is they may have this money, but until it goes through the laundromat, they may not be able to enjoy it. Also, this represents, and we go back to Luigi, this represents the fact that after that incident, and there probably will be more, is that they won't be, people will not, the oligarchs will not be able to go out and enjoy their money because their pictures will be plastered all over the place. So they're in this position that they have acquired all of this wealth, and this does go to international money laundering. Their options may be closed. And this comes down to, I often think of this card as be careful what you wish for. And I also am going with the interpretation, I think, of Hogarth, who said that sometimes this can be a represent prostitution. But I would say that, of course, she's a very high-priced call girl, and she can live in the lap of luxury, but she doesn't get out. She's always in there, it's like all dressed up and nowhere to go. So I would say, as a result of this, as a big result of this, is that as the walls close in and more is the investigations are going, that the roots of whatever they're going to do with their money may be closed, and this could be evidence, and it's hard to say what will happen, in an international thing. So what I want to do is I want to look and see if there's anything that could be breaking out about this, as far as any discovery about foreign interference with our elections, because I agree with a lot of my colleagues that it's quite possible that sometime over the summer this could break out. So I'm going to do a quick foreread read about, is this going to come to light? Okay, let me get these out here. I want to give this a little shuffle. So, okay, is this going to come out, and will some action be taken? And I can't, and I've said this in other recent videos, I cannot lose this feeling that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all these places, that's a fact-finding mission to find a country where he can live in the lap of luxury and not be extradited, and both of those countries find it. Okay, so I'm going to put these down. Okay, so where this is at, the energy, and let's see the before and after. Okay, so see if this is going to come to light here. Okay, so we have, this is just an extension of the reading, so I'm not going to put all these. Okay, so we have again. She's come up again. See, we had her in this deck. That's why when people ask me, why do you use all those decks? Because if a card keeps appearing, but well, actually, I'm sorry. This is her cousin. They have a similar dress. Okay, Nine of Pentacles and the Empress. Okay, kind of similar, but this is Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. This is Russia, who I believe played as big of a role as it's able to do without the funds that it used to have, but still Russia. Which is telling me that, because I get these little clairvoyant hits, I'm seeing that a number of oligarchs have been, drank the wrong tea and fallen out of windows. I think Putin's been grabbing on their riches to finance this. So Russia is a big player. The energy of that is, here we go. The marriage of, the partnership of Putin and Trump here. Going right with the Russia thing. So they were talking quite a bit. So in the before, just doing this without any sort of conscience or bothering, that this is truly like a sociopathic, we don't lose a minute of sleep over this. This is what led up to it. There was no conscience about it. And yet in this deck, but still there's blood that's going to be drawn. So this was the Nine of Swords in reverse. And then in the aftermath, trap is set and they're going to get caught, because I always say that, see the tents in the background, it looks like no one is there to care, but I see in this instance is that a lot of investigation is going on, and there could be a trap that they are setting for him. Now, since there are different tents, in one tent they may be doing like the whole Russian mob drug dealing or human trafficking, and another tent, one is drug dealing, another tent is human trafficking, and another one may be looking into the election, but they could all be leading to money that has funded this. So I always look at this as him getting in the end, he gets caught. He isn't looking where he's going. See, that rope is right there ready to grab that foot. So what this is telling me, there's a lot going on, and that he could very well be caught. Who knows? It could very well be that with these visits, this could be part of a trap that's being set. Now, I just I saw a news report video about how the EU leaders have been kind of buttering Trump up as far as Ukraine goes, and they've been kind of buttering him up and say, you got to get Putin to cease fire. If you don't, we're going to weaponize the Ukrainians so much that, so they kind of laid this very clever, and they flatter. So, of course, they use Macron to have the phone conversation, because he's a real smooth Frenchman and knows how to butter him up. And I think that all of this, whether it's the Middle East or God only knows what they are, and the more democratic EU and NATO guys, it seems like maybe they're doing it separately, but they really are. They're setting the trap. So the trap is set. Since it's in reverse, it's all about the trap has been engaged. So what this is saying is that although the trap has been set, in the future he's stepping right into it, and people will be coming out of those tents and say, we've been looking at you for a long time. So I would say in that regard, this could prove to be a very interesting summer because I'm feeling a summertime energy about this, and that things are moving along fast. And I would say that don't know if you'll go to Great Britain, but that could be for another reading. But I noticed that I think the Vatican, that's kind of like neutral grounds. They don't, they don't nab people up there. But I would say that he's been very careful to go to countries with non-extradition treaties. So, at any rate, this, from what the cards say, it does look as though, really does look as though there has been a lot of foreign intrigue. A lot of it is with money laundering, and which could mean that his greed, it could definitely be his undoing. As they dangle the shiny objects and the airplanes and all of this, that the greed could really be his outdoing, because that could be the trap that they're setting. Different ones in different ways, but I think it's all going to come together. So, that's it. See you soon. Bye.